Welcome back to the Now Morning Show. Now, there is an upcoming two-day conference for the 50th anniversary of the Trinidad and Tobago Revolution, also called the Black Power Movement, hosted by the National Joint Action Committee, or NJAC. And so joining me this morning to talk more about it is Servant President of the NJAC and former Minister in the People's Partnership Government, Mr. Embau Moheni. Mr. Moheni, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you this morning? I'm
very good.
Happy to have you with us.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Well, let's start one time. I mean, what does it mean for you to celebrate, from 1970, so many years from that time to now?
It's really fantastic because on the one hand, it brings back the memories of 1970, which was such a fantastic, transformative period in the life of this country, of which a lot of people are unaware. But it also gives us the opportunity, as we look back, we always look forward, because we need to bring back that consciousness. We need to bring back that sense of ownership of our country, that sense of brotherhood and sisterhood that was so prominent in 1970, that did a lot to transform not only Trinidad and Tobago, but the Caribbean.
Yeah. Now, looking back at the last 50 years, what stands out most in your mind?
Well, what stands out most is the fact that, notwithstanding the efforts that were made to stifle the movement in 1970, yet this country benefited so much. Today we speak about the two oil booms. Had it not been for 1970, we could not enjoy that. Because in 1970, the oil sector was almost totally owned and controlled by foreigners. You drive into Port of Spain, you drive into any part of the country, and there's no NP. What you would see is BP, British Petroleum. You see Shell. You see Texaco. You would see all these foreign from Holland coming here and controlling the gas, the oil, what have you. 4% of the oil wealth remain in this country. So today, when we speak about the benefits, the development that we have had coming out of the oil sector, we feel proud because we know that it is not just NJAC. People say NJAC did so much, that McCandle was a genius. He was a mass mobilizer, right? It's his leadership that mobilized this country in a way that it has never been before, to the point where we were able to have 40,000 persons taking part in a march for national unity, because this is what we are talking about, building a nation. And united you stand, united you grow, united you build, right? And we were getting rid of that race politics, so that thousands of persons went down to Caroni, down to Cuba on the 12th of March to bring national unity. It was a fantastic achievement, a fantastic success. But after the emergency, after the lockup, after the brutality, we have gone right back to race politics today.
So something that you just mentioned there, and I remember, discussing with elders in the family what it was like being there in the unity, and expressing that today we don't see that unity in Trinidad and Tobago. So moving off of that, would you say that today's generation are better off because of the 1970 Black Power Revolution?
They are better off in terms of certain opportunities that they would have had. Okay, take for example, it is the movement of 1970 under the leadership of NJAC. It is we advocated for CXC. When I was in school, there was no CXC exam. But we were saying, look, we want an examination, we want an education that is relevant to the Caribbean. Why must we depend on an examination coming from England? It was Cambridge, it was London. Those were the exams that we wrote. So the youth have these opportunities. But we have seen over the years that our women were manipulated out of the homes. We criticized the women. They didn't leave the homes. They were manipulated. I can remember in the 60s and the 70s, they would have these lovely outfits, and they talk about the career woman. They went after the women to get them out of the homes. Today, the homes are destabilized, and we blame the youths. Back in those days, a child walks home after school, and there's love. Carlin, how was your day at work today, at school today? And what did teachers say? How did you defend? There was love.
Yes.
Today, look, I can't take you on. My head hot. Because the mothers out there in the jungle fighting whole day, the fathers out there, there's no one to anchor the home. And this is what has happened. And I'm hearing them talking about all the youths and the parents. It was a system that went after them to destroy the home. The homes are destroyed today. and everything has collapsed in the society. These are the things that we have to focus on. And this is why I'm so glad that this conference is coming off, where we have a fantastic array of presenters, okay? Over 30 presenters in the 2 days of conference, Thursday from 9 a.m., Friday from 9 a.m., between 9 and 5 p.m. And we have the professor, Rosemary Bell-Antoine, who is the Pro-Chancellor and also the head of the University of the West Indies. She's going to be presenting. The Most Reverend Charles Jason Gordon, Archbishop of Port of Spain, who was there in the one event we were able to have in 2020, because this is a delayed event. We still call it 50th anniversary, but we are now 53 years. But we did it at the cathedral on the 26th of February 2020, because in 1970, on that same day, the 26th of February, the demonstration entered the cathedral. So we went back there 50 years after. And the Archbishop made a statement there that the work of the movement was not yet complete. And he explained why. So he's going to be there to bring his message where that is concerned. Then you have Dr. Godfrey St. Bernard, who is the acting director of SALISES, Professor Brinsley Samuel, Professor Hamid Ghani, Professor Patrick Watson, Brother Enyahoma Ubika, you have myself, Dr. Priya Mohan, you have Dr. Tayimba Salandi, a host.
You have an amazing lineup.
You also have the activists like Kafa Kambon, who was one of the leading figures in 1970, Ayogoro Ome, Lizelle Daga, Augustus Ramakasinghe, who was a former Minister of Education, Fodi Ferreira, who was very much from the PNM side. Yes. So we're going to hear their perspective as well. Ivan Lachlan.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
You definitely have an incredible lineup and panel for this. Now, one of the questions we would love to ask you, though, is you did mention, of course, with the Black Power movement moving forward with CXC. What other impact would you say the Black Power movement had over the Caribbean as a whole? Okay.
Now, first of all, it was the Caribbean movement because our leader, Makandal Daga, chaired a committee that would have had Kafa Kambon, persons like U.C. Kwayana from Guyana, Tim Hector of Antigua, Maurice Bishop, who later became Prime Minister of Grenada, Rosie Douglas, who also became Prime Minister of Dominica, remember Trevor Monroe from Jamaica, who, right across the Caribbean, was a Caribbean movement. And so much so that when Brother Daga, who was then Geddes Granger, and Kafa Kambon, Dave Dabo, when they were invited, and Clive Nunes, I think, as well, were invited to go to Barbados, the Barbadian government banned them from coming there. So that because, you're talking democracy, but you don't want ideas. It's a contradiction, In those days, there was something called subversive literature. How could you talk about democracy when you are covering ideas? Mao Zedong said, let 100 flowers blossom, let 100 schools of thought contend, bring all the ideas. And we saw that, yes, there was the achievement, yes, there have been setbacks. And we are glad that this conference is coming on now so that we could begin once again to enlighten our public. Youths are going to be involved in the conference, and we hope that TTT will be there. TTT needs to be there. The media needs to be there. You need to take this information to the public. It's valuable. It is what brought the transformation. It is what gave us that we were speaking about a new consciousness in 1970. And that consciousness didn't take 6 months or 6 years. It took a few weeks. In a few weeks of mobilization with thousands of people demonstrating on the streets every day, not just shouting power to the people, but discussing family life, discussing building a nation, discussing the economy, discussing history. It was a period of enlightenment. Within about 4 to 6 weeks, we were talking about a new consciousness that swept the country, that brought love and unity because we were saying, be a brother, be a sister. In 1970, the crime rate went down by 56%. We have the answer for crime.
So,
Give
Mr.
the
Moheni,
people
I have
what
to
they
jump
need.
in here. Now, I know that you're talking about the Enlightenment, and I agree. Some of the things that you're talking about is very interesting, not just for me to learn, but the younger generation as well. What are we going to do with that Enlightenment? Do we expect to see another Black Power movement in 2023?
Well, people talk a lot about the black. Yes, there was a very strong element. There was blackness, but we're talking about the economy. We must control the economy. We're talking about enlightening. We're talking about bringing back discipline to the youths. We're talking about reforming the homes. right? The parents must be engaged. The communities must be engaged. Unless community is brought back, we are not going to go anywhere. Our communities have been just ripped apart, and we have lost that sense of community, and no one knows who to trust anymore in this country.
So following the conference, you want to bring back that sense of community within the population? Is it that kind of brothers keepers sort of thing you want to see?
Definitely. But we need the media in order to get the messages across to the population.
Yeah.
Right? And this is why it's so important that you all come and cover the conference.
Now, before you go, Mr. Moheni, just remind us when it's taking place. You mentioned Thursday and Friday of this week?
Thursday 28th and 21st is right 2 days down the road.
Yes.
9 a.m.
Yes.
to 5 p.m. It's up at Dagger Hall. And I must say that this is being hosted in collaboration with the principal's office at the University of the West Indies. And she's going to be making a presentation. SALISES is the Art Institute of Economic and Social and Economic Studies, the Caribbean Historical Society. So it's a collaborative effort on the part of all of us in order to bring this information to the public, which has been hidden for too long.
And Mr. Moheni, before you go, in terms of more information, we can just go to NJAC's page on social media?
Yes, I would also like to read the...
Mr. Moheni, we have about 30 seconds. If you can get it in 30 seconds, it's going to be perfect, because I know we have to go. Yes.
Oh my gosh, I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, Mr. Moheni.
But if they go to the UE website,
yes,
they would see how they could...
sign up?
Yeah.
It is https://bit.ly/Black Power Rev Conference.
Okay.
https://bit.ly/BLACKPOWER Rev Conference.
Yeah,
so they
wonderful.
go to that and they could register.
Thank you so much for coming in, Mr. Moheni. All the best, of course, with the conference on the 2 days, and I look forward to seeing what that enlightenment brings forth as people attend the conference. So thank you so much for joining. And that was the servant president of NJAC and, of course, a former minister in the People's Partnership Government, Mr. Embau Moheni, just sharing about a very, very important conference that's coming up for 2 days at UE this Thursday and Friday. You're on the Now Morning Show. We're going to take a break and be right back. Stay with us.